finance the schools so that taxpayers aren't forced to. All right, switching gears. This is interesting. The many idiotic proposals coming out of the Democrat caucuses on the Hill. Ron Wyden of Oregon has proposed an annual tax on unrealized capital gains. His idea would be capital gains taxed annually based on how much assets have gained in value, unrealized. Uh, Normally, what happens is assets are taxed when they are sold at a top rate of 23.8% instead of 37% for normal income. You may actually realize the gain. What would that idea do in terms of impacting investment and, by extension, economic growth and job opportunities? For more on this topic and others, we're pleased to be joined again by Steve Moore. Governor-elect Steve Moore, we're now required to refer to him, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN, and nominee for the Fed Board of Governors. Steve, thanks for being with us. What about Wyden's proposal?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Well, this is the first I've heard of this. I mean, I know this is an issue that's been kind of floating around Capitol Hill for some years now, but the idea, I mean, first of all, would be for anyone who owns stock, it would be a accounting nightmare to figure out what your unrealized gains are every year, and then, of course, would you be able to deduct your losses from your gains? One of the things that's very unfair about the capital gains tax is that you have to declare as income all of your gains, but you don't get. Did you know you don't get to fully deduct your losses?
Right.
I mean, it's like heads, the government wins. Tails, you lose. I mean, it's an unbelievable situation, and this would, of course, be a massive. It's just another form of a wealth tax, which I guess Bernie Sanders has proposed one of those. Kamala Harris has proposed one of those. They are trying to find any way they can get more and more money out of Americans because they've got this massive several $trillion spending agenda.
Well, right, and the other point too, because this is the demagoguery of the Democrats, is the break, quote unquote, that the tax rates provide for capital gains as opposed to earned income, and well, one of the reasons that capital gains taxes are lower is because it is intended to mitigate against inflation. Your assets declining value because of inflation.
And also, you're right about that. And then also, don't forget, guys, that the capital gains is a double tax because
right.
You pay the company. Let's say you own Apple stock, that company pays the tax when they earn it, and then when they pass it on either as a dividend or a capital gain, when you sell your stock, you have to pay tax again on it. So it's a double tax. But look, the main point here is what we believe in as free market conservatives is that you want more capital investment, you want more entrepreneurship, you want more businesses. That's how we get jobs. That's how you get higher wages. And all of these ideas, all of them, the wealth tax, the capital gains tax they're talking about, and many other proposals that are out there now, they're all oriented towards trying to put an increased tax on the very thing that we need most, which is investment and entrepreneurship and businesses. So, there's an old saying, if you tax something, you get less of it, and if you tax something less, you get more of it. Why do we tax people on on their work, on their saving, their investment, their entrepreneurship? Why don't we tax people on the bad things, not the good things?
How are you handling all this? I mean, there's so many writers going after you, and they're dipping into your past. It's just, how are you processing this?
Well, thank you for asking, Amy. I mean, it's been somewhat traumatizing to my family. My thinking about this is that the left is really afraid of my ideas. They're really afraid that if and when I get on the Federal Reserve Board, that I will be able to move the Fed in the direction of stable money. And I do believe that growth. It does not cause inflation. They do believe that growth causes inflation. So they haven't hit me on any of my economic ideas because they can't. I mean, I'm happy to engage in debate with anybody who wants to debate on the economy. So they're engaged in these personal smear tactics and gutter politics, and it's been unrelenting. But it's what can I say? I think it's almost flattering to me that they feel like they have to go after me with smear tactics because they can't lay a hand on me on my policy experience or my ideas. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, that is
I
interesting.
can't stomach this one article I'm reading on CNBC. It's rude.
We had
None of
we had
anybody's business.
Well, I mean, look, you're a nominee for a federal post. You know, they're going to give you the full proctology exam. It's almost like you're a candidate for office. Right. And so, I mean, it just happens. It's part of it. So I mean, people make it their business.
Yeah, this is a blood sport. Politics is a blood sport. I get that.
I mean,
I'm not playing the victim here.
No,
but
exactly.
I just think that it's on. Look, this is a great time to have a debate about how we should run our monetary policy, and I will learn a lot being over there at the Fed, but. They bring up issues in my divorce 10 years ago that were long ago resolved. I mean, that's just gutter politics. It doesn't have anything to do with my qualifications for the Fed.
That's right.
It's just character destruction, and that's what that's what the left is very, very good at.
We had John Funn from National Review on the show yesterday. He wrote a piece in your defense, not so much focused on the gutter politics, but more focused on the sort of haughtiness of the academic economist aristocracy. Steve Moore doesn't have a PhD, therefore he's not qualified to be. And Funn made the point that you're making. What they're really afraid of is Steve Moore on the Board of Governors really forcing people to have debates on the merits of monetary policy rather than just being a rubber stamp for whatever the chairman wants to do. And that seems to me, and that was what Funn suggested, is the real problem people have with you.
Well, one of my favorite stories, which was in the Washington Post yesterday by a columnist who's a regular there, he said something, not exact quote, but this is pretty close, that if Steve Moore is on the Federal Reserve Board, he could cause another financial crisis that would drive him. And I'm like, wow, do you think I'm going to have that much power that I could cause a financial crisis? And what I was thinking of responding is, gee, I think the Fed has been pretty good at that already. They don't need me for that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. The last 10 years of quantitative easing. I don't know if you can comment on this, but I want to raise, if you can't, I understand. But this Wall Street Journal report about Trump taking Jerome Powell to task at meetings the past week, suggesting that he doesn't like what he's been doing. I guess I'm stuck with you, is what he said to Powell, allegedly. He also complained about Mnuchin, because Mnuchin gave me this guy. And I just wonder what your perspective is on the president making those kind of comments, either publicly or that ultimately get out into the public arena.
Well, look, I think that Trump is not. He's made it very clear he's not happy with Powell. The other day he said, Powell's like a guy who's lost his touch on the putting green. But
Powell's got the yips.
I don't know if it's appropriate or not for the president to be publicly attacking the Fed chairman. But I think that Trump is right that the December rate increase was a big mistake. And by the way, the Fed has admitted it themselves, that they had to put their tail between their legs right after Christmas and reverse course. It comes down to Trump, and I believe this as well, that, if you have a prosperous economy and you've got high growth and low unemployment and low inflation, what's wrong with that picture? Why would you want to change things? And when the Fed started raising rates back September, it had a negative effect on the stock market and the economy. There's just no question about it. And the purpose of the Fed is to retain a strong and stable dollar, and that's the best it can do. But the idea that they're going to push this button or pull that lever and change the direction of the economy. I mean, no, I want a strong, stable dollar with rising wages, more economic growth. And we got there in the summer. We had 4% growth, the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years with no inflation. And Trump is pissed that they moved away from that, and I don't blame him.
What did you, as an economist, what did you think of Trump's saber-rattling about shutting down the southern border, even if that negatively impacts trade for a period of time because border security is more important?
I don't like that idea at all. I mean, I've been to I was just at the southern border, a month or so ago. I mean, there's so much commerce that goes over the southern border, and every town from El Paso to Laredo to San Diego. I mean, we are integrated with the Mexican economy. It would do serious damage to the U.S. economy and the Mexican economy to do that. So no, I don't. I don't agree with Trump on that one. I mean, look, I do agree that we want to control the border. We want to make sure that undesirables are not getting in, and that drug runners and criminals aren't coming, and terrorists aren't coming across the border. But I think to shut down the commerce, I think it would be it would be a mistake, and I think it would hurt jobs and growth. What do you think?
I'm on your side. I used to live in El Paso. That would be devastating to people in Ciudad Juarez and the people in El Paso.
Yeah,
Plus, things that would please that. We trade more. U.S. exports more to Mexico than we do to China.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a big deal.
We do.
Things you don't even realize.
And there are
They make.
thousands and thousands and thousands of trucks that are coming in every day, bringing, both ways, by the way, coming in and out. And, this integration of the Mexican-U.S. economy is, for the most part, good for both of us. So, let's control the border, make sure we're not letting people in that shouldn't get in, but let's not shut down the entire border. I think that's a big mistake. But this is just Trump, I think, sending a message to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, get serious on your side, or, this is the way Trump negotiates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope he's just barking.
He is Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, governor-elect, Fed Board of Governors, chief economist at CNN. Steve, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Take care.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.